Now we'll have our first panel discussion. As AI, data, and distributed work reshape the world, leadership is evolving faster than ever. In our first panel on decoding future-ready leadership competencies in a world shaped by AI, data, and distributed work, we'll explore the skills and mindsets leaders need to thrive. So without much further ado, let's move to our first panel discussion and hear from our esteemed panelists. May I please request Dr. Pawan Kumar Singh, Director IIM Trichy, to come on the stage as our first panelist. May I request Harsh Trehan, CHRO GSK Pharma, to come on the dais. May I request Abhishek Jain, President Sales HR Johnson, to come on the dais. May we now have Himanshu Mishra, CHRO Access AMC. May I now request Dr. Sunil Budiraja, Professor TISS, to come and moderate the session.
Good morning. Good noon. Yes. We are. So it's my privilege and pleasure to be a part of this discussion, and we indeed have an illustrious panel. The topic of the discussion is decoding future-ready leadership competencies, and as rightly said by one of the speakers, that we are now living in the world of AI, data, and distributed work. So these three terms are facilitating things, but they are also posing a lot of questions. AI is a future concept now. We all are working, we all are taking a lot of decisions based out of AI. We are using AI to do a lot of shortcuts in our life. Machines are also being equipped with AI. There are tremendous of data that we are generating in our day-to-day life. I'm sure it must be now not in giga but in tera and maybe in hexabytes. Similarly, the generation with which we are dealing, they are now getting a workplace which is more distributed. Work from home or hybrid work is something that each one of us is expecting and demanding. There are some research that I would like to table to begin with. There are research from McKinsey that says that almost 71% of knowledge workers are getting at least 1 day of work from home. Similarly, there are research by Economic Times and some other sources which says that the job posting which are for the hybrid workforce is going up. And there is significant increase from 20% to 25% in the last 3, 4, 5 years. There are organizations which are trying to find out what competencies do we need for future leaders. Do we need tech, or do we need AI-enabled competencies, or we need the human skills, which are empathy, which is ethics, and which is adaptability. So there are many questions that we have. So in order to get these answers, we will have a discussion, and I would like the discussion to start with an opening remark by my co-panelist. I would request Professor Singh to begin with on his opening remarks on what are the skills that you think, or what are the competencies that you think are required to be future-ready leaders.
Thank you, Professor Sunil Budiraja ji. First of all, let me say that 2 years before, in 2023 in the same place. I had attended People's Lab conference, very well organized, and this time again. So where is Subratji? He is not here now. Dr.
No, sir, I am here.
But let me tell you that my second appearance here today, and I have a feeling that whatever Dr. Subratji does, he does well. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm very happy to be with you all. Decoding future ready leadership, and you have given me opportunity to set the ball rolling. That what are the competencies leaders need in this changing environment where the whole world is talking about AI and data and say distributed work. And as the first speaker, I have to set certain tone of this discussion also, that is also responsibility. Let me tell you, leadership skills can be divided into two parts. And I'm talking from the angle of executive education also, because that is the program's theme. And every discussion, every line that we discuss today should be hooked to the grand theme of the day. Leadership skills as a folder, two folders can be there, within different folders, different files can be there. So two sets of skills, and within each set, various skills. So one is a skill which is perennial. The skill for leader which was needed at the time of Lao Tzu, who was born before Jesus Christ. What was that leadership skill which was needed that day also? And what is that leadership skill, or what are the sets of those leadership skills needed today also? That also we should not forget in the heat of talking about the recent need of leadership qualities packaging. So that one. I'm not going into detail what can be those sets, but certainly humility, integrity, honesty, these have evergreen skills for leaders, cannot change. And I found that Shri Shailendra Singh Ji also emphasized, and he was having a concern that how actually we will make the new generation adapting to those all issues. And in the opening remark also during inaugural address, I like that sentence because it was told that we used to get a hit on the button and we were asked to earn something. So from where those resilience came. So those perennial skills. Second one is that except Brahma, everything changes. So leadership skills set what is needed now certainly has changed. And let us say if we discuss the same topic in 2035, different sets of skills will be needed. And as a professor, I understand that 35 years back, I became a teacher, and that time, from the podium as a lecturer, it was very easy to me to roar from the podium that we see that after 10 years, this would happen. In 1989, beginning of my teaching, after 10 years, this would happen. This sentence was easy to speak. But say in 2010, my confidence was getting shaken. 2005, 2010, difficult to pronounce as a teacher. After 10 years, we predict this thing. Then time was reduced to 5 years. But now if you ask me to go to podium, that what do you think, what will happen in the future? I'll say I can only talk about next 2-3 years because my eyesight is not able to penetrate that foggy area which is being created by ever dynamism of change of technology and change of interaction between technology and human being. So this is broader thing I wanted to say. Now quickly, I will take 1 minute. AI and data driven economy, what leadership skills we need? I have written in a mantra form. I will not elaborate. If time permits, I will do that. Letter round. Basic mathematical sense is a language. Let every citizen of country know, and especially those who are in schools know, because they are future generation. Basic mathematical sense is not mathematics, it is a language. And there is music in mathematics. So that kind of basic mathematical skill of every manager, every leader has to be intact. Second point is that it is under AI and data. Being able to listen the of data. Data keeps whispering. Do you have that audible capability? Data is speaking. Can you listen? एक गजल गाया था पंकज उदास ने कि सुनने की मोहलत मिले तो आवाज है पत्थरों में, उजड़ी हुई बस्तियों से आबादियां बोलती हैं। सुन तो सके आप, हर जगह कुछ ना कुछ सुनाई दे रहा है, हर जगह कुछ ना कुछ दिखाई दे रहा है। देखने की कुव्वत चाहिए, that sensibility, that sensitivity, that nuances to see the subtler thing in which is enveloped by more concrete things. So what I say is listening, whispering of data, that capability. Synthesizing the analysis. We say analysis is one thing, synthesis is another thing. What I am saying, that data and say AI will give us various semi-packaged or let us say structured things, not the final thing. It is a human being who will be able to do the grand synthesis of mini synthesis. And mini synthesis and analysis are same for me. Can you do the grand synthesis and put a meaning to all the various pieces of synthesis that is available to you? And next under AI and data is from ability to answer to ability to raise right question. I say to my MBA students also during inaugural functions that you are paying hefty fee in my institute and you will spend around 2 years. Don't search for answers, because getting good answer for some questions is silver, but developing the ability to raise right question at right time is golden. For that you are paying fee. Please take it like that. So, when I was a student, I was suffering with scarcity of books. And the professor will tell the name of a book. I had to rush to the College Street of Calcutta. From Jamshedpur, I was doing my intermediate and matriculation and graduation from Ranchi University. I had to rush क्योंकि किताब अवेलेबल नहीं थे। अभी हम कहते हैं सब चीज फिंगर टिप पे है। भाई इसको समझना होगा, what does it mean कि सब कुछ फिंगर टिप पे है तो, लेकिन क्या दबाना है मालूम है? क्या दबाना है मालूम होने के लिए बहुत ज्ञान के अर्जन की आवश्यकता है। So those days when I was a student of graduation, getting answer from professor was more important. Now that is again equally important, but more important now is that which question I am going to ask. Ability to ask that question. क्योंकि उसी इंटरनेट में या चैट जीपीटी में पुराण भी है, कुरान भी है, वेद भी है, उपनिषद भी है और फालतू चीजें भी हैं। और अगर आप नहीं जानते आप क्या खोज रहे हैं वहां, तो मशीन आपको खोजने लगेगा कि इसके इरादे क्या हैं, अब वो आपको खोजेगा। You should command the machine. Unfortunately, if machine starts commanding you, it means you went to machine with less preparation, with no preparation, and that is de-dignifying the humanity. So let us not de-dignify it. And last point is that regarding distributed work, people are not around, but we have to create an impersonal team building system because people are not available for handshake. Handshake gives a warmth, but my team is distributed. So there is a new challenge of team building that we have to create impersonal, let us say, mechanism through personal touch. Because without personal touch, team cannot be built. But with personal touch, you have to create something that is impersonal, that is the process, the system, the structure, right, and transparent communication, and let us say award system, everything that is basically impersonal with personal touch, we have to create to actually manage team, which is distributed geographically. Thank you. I think I have lost time. Thank you.
You have actually set the ball rolling. Now I request my second panelist for his opening remarks, Mr. Himanshu Mishra.
Thanks, Professor Buddhidana. So great opening, Dr. Singh. I'll probably not repeat what Dr. Singh said, but let me maybe digress a bit. I think before we get into looking what will future competencies in the world of AI look like, let's maybe go back a bit in the past. In the past, a large part of leadership edge or competence was based on access to knowledge, as Dr. Singh also referred in his story. people would typically have an edge on, in terms of knowledge, books, accessibility, so on and so forth. Today, that access is democratized to a large extent. Knowledge is commoditized, democratized, it's available on fingertips. Social media and internet are huge levelers. I don't think leaders of today or of future can hide behind data, because data again is oil, it's available to everyone. I guess the future will belong to those who can bring out the humane element, which is something that AI cannot do. AI cannot understand feelings, AI cannot empathize, it cannot coach. It may hear, but it cannot even listen. So I think in terms of future competencies, AI will go back to a very traditional model of leadership, which is about a very humane approach, about understanding people, about empathizing with them, self-awareness. And that's where I think people will get an edge. Let me also add a disclaimer. I think in the name of AI, there is a lot of snake oil being peddled. I don't think we need to be apprehensive or wary of AI. I don't think there are as many use cases that people need to worry. I guess sticking to basics is something that will still work, has always worked. I mean, it's going to be uncertain in future, but yes, I think people with a balance of, the traditional emotional intelligence will do it. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now we go to the third panelist, Mr. Abhishek Jain.
Thanks. And so I try to articulate my thoughts across two areas. One is what possibly AI is and what kind of impact it has there on the type of roles that exist in any organization, especially in business functions, and which we can anticipate. And second part would be more on its impact on the leadership qualities and how as a leaders possibly we can work. On the first part, if we look at artificial intelligence, the word itself is called artificial and intelligence. I think the basic premise, as little as I understand as a non-techie, is basically machine trying to imitate cognitive ability of humans in terms of learning, in terms of some of the actions that we can take. To that extent, it relies heavily, as I understand, on a lot of data, lot of information being analyzed, patterns being spotted, and hence leading to a certain way in which it can guide the person who is using that algorithm. As I also understand in whatever little I got exposed to it, right now a lot of it is based on iterative learning and algorithm. So how great your algorithm is in terms of identifying those patterns and repetitive aspect data crunching, it will throw up a better outcome, whatever you are looking for from that particular AI model. But yes, there are a lot of cutting edge AI work happening where actually AI is also taking over some of the human control. In fact, in one of the part of a leadership group, there was a person from Silicon Valley who was addressing the same subject, and he mentioned that an experiment went wrong where AI model, actually the person who was designing the AI model read all the emails, all the chat messages, etc. It understood that the person is undergoing some personal challenges in the marital front, and actually fooled the person into doing certain actions which he was not supposed to take. There is a video out there where two AI models are actually talking to each other. They are speaking to each other and they stop talking in English and they they start voicing in terms of codes. Recently, so what is its impact on us? While it is all doomsday scenario that we all keep reading about, what all AI can do, but practically coming to our companies, our ways of working, what can it impact? I think I draw the parallel to two other waves that happened in the last 2 decades. One was Y2K, the entire computerization impact that came in India. And at that point of time, I think a lot of, again, similar scenarios were peddled that, when the computers come, it will take away the jobs. All the workers will be rendered useless. Second was around when the entire digital became a big word. And again, in marketing functions especially, or even in certain sales functions. There was again a lot of conversation around how digital and the fact that a lot of consumers are going to digital will have a negative impact on the business as well as a lot of roles and jobs that exist today. I think we have seen that one of the aspects, if I have to draw analogy, is that yes, some of the type of jobs may cease to exist, but it has also led to a lot of newer jobs and the type of jobs which have got created. And if we see 20 years down the line, I think in both the sector, both the impact we see, it has been positive, net positive if I have to make an assumption on the overall economy, overall in terms of the number of jobs. But yes, the skill sets that are required have changed. So for example, earlier if you don't know computer, now you actually need to have basic computer proficiency. A lot of specific jobs which emerged where people need to have the understanding of the technology behind computers, or digital marketing became such a big phenomena that today you have people whose entire careers and there are a lot of teams, large teams only dedicated towards skill building within that domain. I think there is something similar that we are going to see in AI. There are a lot of repetitive jobs, there are a lot of administrative or data-centric jobs that are very easily replaceable by putting a very strong AI agent. To give you a very practical example, today there is a call center which calls consumers. So let's say if I have to do an outbound program for calling, let's say 1,000 consumers, typically a call center agent does around 40 to 50 calls at max. And that means it will take 20 working days, man days to do an outbound call to 1,000 people. Today there are AI agent available, and if you speak to that AI agent, and you will not be able to understand whether that is a human or an AI model. And actually I have done that demo and we are deploying that. And it's like that model can carry on the conversation for 5 minutes. Obviously it is completely trained on what information you feed it, that model, that how intelligent you can make that model. But now I can complete those 1,000 calls outreach that required me a person for 20 days in possibly 10 minutes or 15 minutes using tech. Now that is where some of the jobs where possibly technology can quickly replace and provide a lot of productive benefit as well as monetary benefit as well as scale benefit. That is where it will have an impact. Having said that, the other aspect is that you still need someone to make sense of it. What does the AI model need to do? How to train that model based on the business function, understanding consumer, what exactly needs to talk about, how to manage those agents. It is also famously said that possibly we are the last generation of leaders who are managing only humans. As we go along, the next generation will manage both humans and agents. That requires a very different kind of skill set. So I think a lot of these jobs will evolve where you need people to understand technology as well as its application in the business. And that is what I see as a transition right now over the next 2-3 years. Obviously, whenever a new technology comes, the focus immediately is on the productivity gains as well as the cost gains. But as we move along its adoption curve over the next 2 to 3 years, I think a lot of newer jobs, newer skill sets based jobs will emerge where we'll need to, and those people will need to specialize in using the new tech and the new data models and the way it is evolving in the business context. Its impact on the leadership, I still feel, as I think Mr. Chalinder Singh rightly said, all of us in our jobs, when we start our careers, we don't get defined by our KRAs or our JDs. We have to constantly bring value to the table. We have to always create value for the organization. Now that gets created by opportunities that we see, which goes beyond our designated role. I think that is something that no one can take away. Again, that is where possibly leaders and managers need to play greater role. So just to give you an example, if there is a role in a lot of organization about MIS and the person's job is only to send out reports, we need to make him understand that in the next 2 years he doesn't upskill himself to start also showing some insights that okay, this is the report and helping manager to become possibly run the business better, the job is not going to stay forever. Now that is the kind of things possibly as a leader, as a manager, we need to anticipate, and I think that is one of the aspect of AI impact on the future of work, that as a leader, how do we anticipate its impact on our people, on our organization, and also make them ready for it, both in terms of alternate upskilling as well as looking at how the jobs will change and be ready for it. And last, just to close that, I think still the old-fashioned leadership values will never go out of fashion. The fact is that in our own roles as a leaders, as a managers, in various aspects, we need to be causing the matter. We need to see how to change status quo, provide a stable leadership. I think that that gets enabled by AI and not gets replaced by AI, because it cannot still replace human decision making, as someone said about feelings. I think that is not going to change. I think just to last bit, I think as again leaders, the biggest thing role we play is that bring certainty to our teams in an uncertain business environment. A lot of business environment is not very clear or structured. There's a lot of ambiguity floating around. There's a lot of data points. There's a lot of humans, feelings, associations, relationships. And out of that, you make sense of a business strategy and stick your neck out and drive your teams towards a certain outcome. I think that is again not going to change. As a leaders, you need to deal with uncertainty and provide certainty to the teams. I think that is going to continue, and in fact, people who are able to do it better will continue to do well. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jayan, for your opening remarks. I will now go to my next panelist, Mr. Riyan.
Thank you. I think congratulations, Dr. Subrat. What an outstanding conference. It's a pleasure to be with academia, with the senior leaders for public sector enterprises, and share thoughts. To me, my opening thought is a bit very sharp. One, there's an organizational purpose. I think for me, in my current organization, we are here to get ahead of the disease together. And if you're getting ahead of the disease, which means and AI is not a new topic, the generative AI is a new topic. Right? And therefore, machine learning has been deployed in the organizations. How is that enabling your organization to achieve the purpose faster? As a leader, I think, don't fight it. I think, to me, open your arms and take it. So that's one. I think as a leader, you have to be on top of the game, understand the purpose, understand how machine learning, various models of LLM and AI are making an impact. I think second, I think India as a country, I'm absolutely delighted to see the power it's unfolding. The amount of investment going behind language-led generative AI modeling is absolutely exciting. So I'm very excited about the fact that somebody in the country who speaks mathly can actually not dive into scientific documents which they do not have research access to. So the power and potential of this technology is far beyond what we maybe are seeing in our roles or in our leadership modeling. Therefore, as a country, the position we are taking and globally kind of becoming a center of gravity for the talent on digital and AI is something which is super exciting to me. The third, which I clearly see, one word which will get replaced in the leadership's vocabulary is the word competency. I think this word has been overused and abused. The word which is replacing it very quickly is a word we heard earlier in the conversation about skills. And therefore it's all about, as a leader, how you are enabling your organization to be on their journey of skill through investing in the right learning mindsets, through investing in the right policy mindsets. So I'm not recommending a Netflix policy, which is no policy, to a company which is 20-page policy. Right. I think the answer for you as a leader is to identify the right spot which you are looking at in your organization to build that. At the core, of course, this agility, those skills will be very important. But at the core is ethics and inclusion. This is another topic which I believe, I think, for multinationals, you are guided by the ethical definitions which are framed in a different geography. I think within India, and I think the example that we heard earlier, a multi-generational challenge that we face in India. Right? How do you, as a leader, acknowledge inclusion? What is your design on inclusion leadership in your organization, which would be from alphas to Gen Zs to Gen Xs to everybody, right? To people who understand Gen AI, who doesn't understand Gen AI, to people who are opening their arms, who are not opening their arms. So I think there is a huge inclusion requirement which the leaders have to acknowledge within their organization and be visibly leading it. Right? The power and shadow of a leader to lead digital and AI is absolutely critical in here and now and not tomorrow. And last, I think, is, well, I think again, coaching is about, we all know, and we have all heard that, but coaching and talent is taking a very different meaning in this whole reality. Because the leaders are, as a leader, we have to be open to reverse coaching and reverse mentoring. Right? I cannot judge a Zen Alpha. I cannot judge the multi-generational diversity in my organization. The way I did, was it the right way? I'm not sure. And do I have this leadership skill within my leadership to be open, to first embrace it, and then to be open to partner on a journey which takes the whole coaching and talent design in a different matrix, which we haven't seen before. So to me, these are some of the dimensions of, I think, what's going on this topic at the head. I'll hand it back to you with these.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rehan. I think I've gathered a lot of things from all my panelists. So we are constantly saying that yes, the dimensions of work might have been evolved, we are redefining things, but the perennial skills like integrity, unity, honesty, hard work will remain. We need to work a lot on the basics and we need to move along. Now, these are the two things on why and what. Now, the most important thing for us as an organizational leader is how do we cultivate these things. As an organizational leader, we need to ensure that there is a culture, there is an ecosystem, there is an environment that we create so that these skills can be cultivated and thrive. Now, is there something that from the practitioners or from the academicians that we can think of which we are doing uniquely, which is helping us make little more agile? And again, there is a term that we have been using right from morning, the learning is continuous. So what are the ingredients that we are working upon? I remember I have seen a lot of frameworks of learning organization. I remember doing my PhD and there were numerous frameworks. So are these frameworks, like Peter Senge, he talks about 5 frameworks. There are models like Watkin and Marcy, there are models like Marquardt. So there are many such frameworks. So do you think that are these frameworks more theoretical or are these frameworks also evolving? Now, for example, one thing to begin with. Most of the framework says that the first ingredient of creating a learning environment is dialogue and inquiry. Now, the mode of dialogue might have changed. We used to have formal communication, all those things. But now, do you think with the distributed work and with the AI coming in, humans talking to the robots and machines are working, so does the dialogue and inquiry remains the same? Similarly, there are other aspects like strategic integration. So do you think, what are the things that organizations are doing? So very specifically, if you can ask about, as an organization, how are we creating a culture which is making us agile as well as grounded? Anyone can attempt this question. You want to take?
Happy to share, and I think I'll keep it sharp again. So to me, it starts with skill. So as an organization, I think both in my current organization, current role and the earlier role, invested on, and takes time to invested on scraping skills out of the jobs and scraping skills out of each profile. Therefore, what is the skill taxonomy of the organization? That's the first baseline. As you build that, then you're very clear where the gaps are, we discussed earlier. I think the second part of the continuous learning, which I think we have been experimenting on, is how do you make the learning contextual to here and now. Therefore, personalized learning pathway linked to your skill gap, enabled by programs and technology, which makes it here and now. I am working on a presentation for the board today night, which is a committee. Can I have my monkey on the shoulder, my leadership coach sitting in a technology mode, give me an insight here and now, rather than recommend me that Harsh, you need to go to an agency A and agency B and learn and learning 1 and learning 2. So how do I drill that culture within the organization to be using that? Now this is very disruptive to the executive education modeling, right? But to me, that's something which the employees are saying, something that we are hearing, and I think as an organization currently we are in the process of implementing some very innovative digitally enabled solutions which help us to bring that learning pathway at a very personalized level, specifically on the skills that the employee need at that point of time. So that's one example I'll leave there, and I think there's others to add.
Would you like to add?
So there's this, old Buddhist saying, wherein a monk is trying to teach a student and the student is not listening or learning or trying to understand what the monk is saying, and he tries to pour tea, in a cup and the cup overflows. And the student tells that, teacher, the cup is overflowing, why don't you stop? So he says that your mind is like this cup, because it's full of, opinions and irrelevant information that you're not willing to accept anything more. So the takeaway here is that I think when we talk of continuous learning, continuous unlearning is a must, because only if you unlearn can you learn new things. And I guess that's an important culture that needs to be cultivated at a leadership level. All of us in organization would have heard people saying, I've got 2 decades of experience, 3 decades of experience, multiple decades of experience. But what exactly counts as experience? Is experience all about marking attendance in office? Because if yes, then, as Mr. Patrihan said, you're not cultivating skills. In today's day and age, one needs to differentiate experience from experiences. What is the difference? Experiences are those crunch moments. It could be a special situation. It could be, a merger, acquisition, layoffs, downturn, demon, COVID. And during those experiences, what was the leader's reaction? Did we see it as an opportunity, or did we, was the crisis and everybody was just hiding? Did we think of a new product or a new service in that moment, which became the need of the hour? And it is those experiences which build skills which then leaders can harness, as we move forward. A couple of things that we have spotted a little early in our organization, and we are trying to do some experiments and pilots around this, is there is this constant chatter and buzz around multi-generational workforce, or people do not understand Gen Z, and Gen Alpha is different, and Gen Y does things differently, and in Gen X everybody has gone to school after crossing the river by swimming, so on and so forth. And what we realize over a period of time is that most of the workplace conflicts or disconnects were arising out of misalignment of expectations from different different generation of people. And generation is just a label, it's more about mindset. And we thought that instead of trying to coach and guide different generations or train them about how different generations operate, why not put them in a room together and let them understand and appreciate each other's strengths, and blind spots. And the outcome was phenomenal. If I can give an example from our organization, in one of the sessions, from a financial services standpoint, we have a lot of structure, systems, regulations, a lot of structures and systems are prescribed by the regulators. And some youngster who's recently joined in said that they see these structures and systems as a micromanagement. They see rhythm and cadence as micromanagement. Even if the manager is not micromanaging, they felt that a certain thing to be done at a certain time, whether it is a CRM entry or a data upload on a system or a report to the regulators, they felt that this is micromanagement. We would want things to be flexible, which can be done at our convenience. Now that's a big penny drop moment for us in terms of how people are seeing, the systems and structures around which the organization is built. And it is through these dialogues and conversations, as you said, Professor Bodhiraja, we try and iterate and understand finer nuances of how people are seeing, observing, perceiving, learning, unlearning, so on and so forth. I think reverse mentoring, as someone mentioned, I think is a big area to focus on. I guess many times people, while they complain about Gen Z's mindset, etc., I mean, let's be realistic. You can't shy away from increased Gen Z workforce participation. I mean, we are at the highest point in history, and from tomorrow onwards, that number is only going to increase. It will not decrease anymore. So I think for previous generations, the only thing that they can do is they can prepare themselves how to handle this generation, but not wish away the fact, that people need to operate differently in organizations. One big area of focus for us, as I think Mr. Shailendra mentioned in his previous conversation, is well-being. I think that's an area where conversations are needed a lot more, especially with youngsters, given increased isolation, distractions, people being more and more hooked on to social media. The tendency of youngsters to create personal social connections is only reducing. And that's a space we have opened up big time in our organization, ensuring that we constantly do something on well-being, both actually on all fronts, physical well-being, mental, emotional, financial as well, given that we are a company operating in that space. But I mean, that's one area of focus, I think, which is going to become very, very big, and there's no way you can not focus on that. Yeah, so I think those would be some of the practices that we have kind of tried and piloted, and I think we are seeing good results.
So this entire area about agile organization structure and role of technology or its impact, the way I see it is that an ideal function, let's say if I am leading a particular, I am into business role, so let's say I see myself as a role of an orchestra leader, and in an ideal scenario, my team will operate like how an orchestra operates. Everyone plays their role absolutely at the right time to the right amount, and all of us put together a great outcome out of that. But obviously, it never happens. And now, what does so when we say agile, in my head, it is all boils down to how people are able to work together seamlessly, effortlessly to move towards the outcome that we all want to. And I think in all our organization, the degrees may differ, but I think we spend most of our times in making sure people work together effectively and do their work on time. Unfortunately, I think out of all the framework, that it comes down to that. In my experience, a lot of it is shaped by my 18 years of Asian Paints before this current role. I think we used to spend a lot of effort in ensuring that people operate with a similar set of values, which means that their KRAs are clear, the way of operating principles are clear, that okay, everyone needs to be accountable, there has to be promises which have to be kept, and to be accountable for failing them. I think again, it's some of the old-fashioned values which will never go out of way. What AI and technology does is it helps in ensuring that these values are driven more strongly in the organization. For example, today we use Google Workspace and Microsoft 365. Today you have Copilot and Gemini integrated into it. We actually want that possibility where, let's say, if there is a piece of work where a set of team members are working and there are 1,000 such pieces running, today when you set up a review meeting, then you realize where the things are stuck. Someone has forgotten to send an email, or someone has forgotten that they were supposed to do something. Ideally, a great AI model will be able to actually scan all the emails which they anyway have access to and give a nudge to that person, okay, you are running late on that particular email as a part of their work track, why don't you do something like that? To me, actually, some of these applications of AI is where it will add to the agility of the organization, because as I said, otherwise we are working doubly hard to just ensure people do what they are supposed to do and bring together. So, but again, coming back, what are those common set of values that people are onboarded to? As he also said that finally people need to see the overall vision. If I am the orchestra master, people need to first experience that what they are creating. I think that still holds true, and as a leader, how do we do that and how effectively we are doing that will continue to be important.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. You want to add, or should I have one last question for you maybe?
Okay, because in this round, let me just do my bit of my prediction. You see, overall topic of course is future of executive education in context of the changing environment. And sometime the decision maker has to think, what is the unit to which we are addressing? What is the unit? And many times you'll find unit should be individual. While developing leadership capability, unit should be many times individual. And let me say there are various types of personalities: gaseous personality, liquid personality, molten personality, and solidified fixated personality. Now, who is gaseous personality? He is a learner or she is a learner. But that kind of learner is not productive. Because in the morning, a powerful speaker convinces you in favor of one school of thought, and you agree, and all day you keep praising that speaker. And in the evening, more powerful speaker comes and says the just opposite logic, and whole night you keep dreaming about the second speaker's thought. I call them gaseous personality. बहुत अच्छे लर्नर होते हैं, दिल के बड़े साफ होते हैं, अपना कोई आधार ही नहीं होता है। जब जैसा आज का कॉन्फ्रेंस में जो सुना वही कन्विंसिंग, कल कुछ और उल्टा सुन लेंगे वही कन्विंसिंग। तो आप कौन थे? Who were you? Where is he got by what? You are a learner, but without by what? They are gaseous. Liquid, we can understand. They are also very easily changing, but they have certain kind of viscosity. Molten and fixated, and solidified fixated. Solidified fixated, I have nothing to learn, I have learned everything. दोनों extreme गड़बड़ है. Best one is not liquid but molten. Why I am raising this argument? While going for executive education, we should also propagate that you build your center of gravity, your core values. I will divide leadership skills into 3 parts. One is skill, other is behavioral, and third is conduct. That's character. Skills certainly has to be at periphery and has to be subjected to dynamic changes, and as the changes required, please keep on supplying skills. Behavior at workplace, it also depends on the context. If organization is machinistic, having machinistic culture, or maybe experimental culture, and according to culture also you have to cope up with the organization to a certain extent. But third one is conduct and character. So apart from discussing leadership skills and behavior, we have to also not lose the sight of leadership values. एक शायर ने लिखा कि तालीम का शोर इतना, तहजीब के फूल इतने. तालीम मीन्स स्किल और तहजीब मीन्स बेसिक बिहेवियर. तालीम का शोर इतना हो रहा, तालीम का शोर इतना, तहजीब के फूल इतने, बरकत जो नहीं होती नियत की खराबी है. Value has to be. So these 3 have to be. And similarly, we are also experimenting, and we are having a team of deans. They will report that how in this world of, let us say, ChatGPT, etc., we should set questions. Professors should set questions that you go to any source of knowledge, but to answer a professorial question, you have to be original. So we have to go beyond this technology. Technology one should never abuse. Technology is a great friend, but we should know that how to use the technology. If I do not know how to use technology, that is my mistake, not technology's mistake. So, with this, I pass on, and if there is time, we will have some final question now.
I think we have another 5 minutes, and I have a long list of questions with me. But rather than asking my questions, I would be happy if one of you or 2 of you may have 1 or 2 questions for the panel. In case there is somebody who has a question, otherwise I have a long list. We can go for another half an hour minimum. Yeah, there is one hand that is up. You want to ask the mic?
Firstly, very good afternoon everyone. I'm Sneha Kamal from Axis Bank. One question I have for the panel is that data can sharpen decisions but also reinforce biases. How can leaders build a culture where ethical judgments trumps blind reliance on AI output?
So, you want to pick?
A very brilliant question. To be one of the biggest challenges as leaders is understand the word bias. पहले human bias था तो पकड़ लेते थे. But data bias, so will your auditors now come and say that show me the code behind this data so I can understand you have a bias. And therefore, one of the new capability in any team which has evolved in the last at least 24 months I have seen is this whole data privacy. The whole people within functions who understand what is the bias that could be. It could be, and if I look at HR processes from recruitment to performance to talent to who are the people who get selected on a particular executive program, right? Each of them could have some inherent biases in them, and if you're bringing in AI, what are the controls that you're putting in. And the good part is a lot of research is happening on this, and the good part is a lot of data is now available for us to eliminate those biases. And that data and that enablement is also coming from AI-led models, because you have programs now which help you to check biases and also enable it. But again, I think very important, it's a human-centered model. And therefore, the big part is how do you also work with your organization and your teams and leadership to understand that there will be biases. Data is only a data, use it for inference, don't use it for immediate decision till we further fine-tune that model. And that's what I think we are on the journey of. We are not running a lot of experiments on AI across different pieces, but very consciously calling out that the data that we are seeing is an inferred data, and therefore, I think, prone to biases.
So, I can just add one point. So, data in itself does not have any bias. It's the human beings who have biases. And interestingly, as you grow in organization and become more and more senior, that need to be correct becomes so strong that biases in itself get hardwired. So, there's something called as confirmation bias, and confirmation bias, is directly proportional to your level in the organization. So ultimately, you will see what you want to see in the data, and I think that's one key differentiating skill that leaders will need to develop. Use more intuition, use a lens to differentiate and not get swayed by their own confirmation biases and their own narcissism.
Thank you so much. I think very well answered. Maybe something. Any more question? Yeah, one last question maybe. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I am Rakesh Singh from Visit India. It's a very thoughtful discussion was going. I have one question which is my relevant for this discussion. Question is, while AI, data and distributed work offer a tremendous opportunity which we all are discussing throughout this discussion, but my question is for the leadership, what are the key risks or blind spots should be mindful of? And the second question is that what precaution can help balance innovation with responsibilities?
Innovation with
Responsibilities.
How do you balance?
Because I think that is most important part. We are talking about data, AI, that is the future, yes. But there should be some kind of, responsibility, some kind of, to see that where to stop, what to do.
So are you trying to say that without being too much micromanaging things, and neither we can detach, but still we have to strike a balance, make things accountable?
I'm trying to understand what are the negative things in that, right? What are the so this is coming with the innovation with the responsibility. So as a leader, where we have to see this?
I'll just give brief response to it. You see, I call it disadvantage of being senior. There are so many advantages of becoming senior. You get better car, better house, more thick carpet in your office, corner room in Mumbai office, because corner room is a very important article in HBR also. But there are certain disadvantages of becoming senior. Take for example, at a junior level you have certain authority, certain responsibility. And at senior level you have certain authority, certain responsibilities. But just think, the authority increases as you become senior in arithmetical progression, but responsibility increases as you become senior in geometric progression. So authority responsibility ratio dwindles as you become senior. This is disadvantage. Means enough of authority is not available to meet out the challenges given by enormously increased responsibilities. And that's why we need to search for a new base of power, which the position is not being able to supply to you. The chair on which you are sitting is not able to supply you enough authority or enough power to meet your responsibility. You have to search for another base of power, and that is leadership. If leadership qualities would have increased automatically by becoming senior, leadership topic would not have existed in the literature of management. So as they become senior, we have to be careful about that. And that's why, you see, learning, we have to we have to propagate in education that learning has to be continuous. This has to be discussed in as many ways as possible. And to end, I will say, when I talk to my professor colleagues, academicians in my audience, I tell them just to induce or to reinforce this learning that there is no difference between teacher or professor and student. A student is learner in the classroom who pays fee, and teacher is a learner in the classroom who receives humble salary. All right.
Wonderful. I think very well summed up. We can.
If I should corporate answer to your question, acknowledge a problem. The leaders are not functional experts in this domain. Therefore, most of the organizations are setting up AI governance boards, which help you to equate responsibility with the technology you're deploying. So to me, I think as a leader, embrace that. Set up people and teams in your structure which do that. And then you're all learning. I think as you rightly said, somebody gets a salary for learning, somebody, I think, learns, but we're all learning, and just be conscious that you are learning and don't take rash judgments as you're doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we have had a wonderful discussion, and I would like to take one more minute to maybe give away my overall thoughts on this. So we have gathered a lot of things in terms of what are the ecosystem, what are the initiatives. So we have gathered things like creating personalized learning pathways, creating multi-generational learning from each other, doing reverse mentoring, prioritizing wellness, and unlearning is an important aspect which a lot of you have mentioned about, then connecting individuals to the broad vision. So when I go and resonate and I see the academic literature, yesterday I was looking at a lot of articles, and one of the research says that there are 4 buckets of future ready leadership competencies. I think this group is almost there, and I think they have added much more than those 4. And those 4 buckets that I have gathered was: number 1, technical understanding; number 2, human relation skills; number 3 is strategy, insight; and number 4 is change management. So I'm sure these 4 are relevant, and there are many more that we have added in. So before I pass it on to my colleague, I will just say that why can't we just think for 10 seconds and see what is that one skill that we would be requiring for the future, maybe 2 years down the line or 5 years down the line. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pendesh, for your wonderful I'm also inspired by Sir. Sir has said a lot of couplets, so I also remember one. So Iqbal says that चमन में हर तरह के रंगों बू से बात बनती है, चमन में हर तरह के रंगों बू से बात बनती है, हम ही हम है तो क्या हम है, तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या कहते हैं.
Quite a brainstorming session we had. Thank you to our brilliant panelists for shedding light on what it truly means to be future-ready leaders in an AI and data-driven distributed world. Your thoughts have given us both clarity and direction as we prepare for the challenges ahead. Let's appreciate them with a thunderous round of applause. And may I please request Dr. Alok Kumar Singh, Dean, Executive Education, IIM Nagpur, to come on the dais and felicitate our esteemed panelists.
Actually, he was my student also. I'm very proud. He's professor and dean. I'm not so nice. Thank you very much.
मैंने ये बोल के लिया है सर, क्योंकि ये मेरा भी प्रिविलेज है.
So just a note. So it is my privilege also because sir was 2 years my senior in engineering. हमारे